Happy Monday morning, friends. Welcome. Come on in to the Craft Hut. Grab yourself a seat. Come on in. Come on in. This is Cheryl with Mama P's Crafty Creations. I'm on a few minutes early. I'm kicking off the Crafty Bunch Monday Crafter's Choice event and wanted to get here with you. We've got a lot to do and we have a set time that we need to get it done in. So welcome. Grab some coffee if that's what you do. That's what I do. Grab your craft if you're working on something. I am doing the admin pieces here as well. Good morning. Good morning. So I'm a hot mess. Let me just tell you, hey Debbie, that I try really hard to be organized when we get together to craft, and I'm not today. So we're going to work through these book pages. Hello. Hi guys, come on in. Good morning. Good morning. Hi, Diane. Hello, everybody. We're going to work through these pages kind of cold, from scratch, because I didn't get a lot done in between. Life has gone nuts at Mama P's place in the last several days. So we're doing the very best we can. And that's good enough, right? Right. We'll all say that together. It's Monday. It's good enough. Okay, guys, come in. Come in. It is Monday all over the place, Miss Debbie. You're never organized anymore. Dana, I was one of those folks that I could not hardly go live. Hey, Trisha, unless I was totally laid out and had everything down. I usually had written notes for myself on top of that. And I still feel much better when that's the case. But today I'm not there. This is the pile of Monopoly items that I picked up off of my table from the last time we were together. And I looked at it a little bit. You got your Monopoly game? Yes. And that's all I did. That's all I did was look at it. So you're working, but watching. That's okay, Becky. We won't tell. Today our goal is, hi Valerie, is to get pages in our books. That's my goal for today, and I think we can accomplish that. I'm with the Crafty Bunch today. I am a super proud Crafty Buncher. They've been so good to me. After me is Judy, and her page is Wyatt's Whatnots. And man, can she paint. She is super fun. So you're going to want to catch her when we are done here. And I hopped on a few minutes early. Hey, Michelle, just so we'd have a little extra time and some time to chat. You're looking for a Monopoly game. You know, I find them so often at yard sales, marketplace, and thrift stores, especially if it's someplace where it's not complete, because we don't care, right? If it's complete or not. I wanted to show you guys my finished circus project from the Junk Journaling Jamboree, because I did sit and finish the book. So this is the customized box that I made for our journal, and I'm at my tall table. Then I put in a liner of black glitter paper. I hope you can see the glittery part. And then here is our lovely journal that fits right here into this book. And then underneath this black lining is this beautiful blue paper lining as well. So let me show you how I kind of finished it out. Now listen, if you want to see an incredible circus book, you go look at Creating with Chris Hunter, because she's still working on hers. And whoa Nelly, it is amazing. It is amazing. But we used the clear deli bags and we created the shaker cover, you remember? And then we tied it together with some blue satiny ribbon, and we went through and we covered the edges of the pages. We don't play it. I never have played Monopoly. So when we folded our bags over to get the clear cellophane where we wanted it, it left us really cool pockets. So we have pockets, and we made this belly band here with the kit, and it's on a paper bag here. So the paper bag would open. And then for most of the pages, what I opted to do is they're my signature in the signature, forget it, pocket pages, right? So I made a large tag that goes down in the pocket, but then I connected smaller tags that hang over both front and back. Hi, I'm doing pretty good, Deborah. How are you? Here we made a pocket out of the printable. We made just some hand-drawn journaling lines. This is another one of the multi-layered tags. I just tied it together with some sari silk for a little bit of something different. Okay. And then all of our pockets just have these cute little elements. But I wanted to show you, since we were working together in the Junk Journaling Jamboree, and then while I watched the other creators, I finished it. So I didn't get to share the process. Then here's our center panel. And again, it's a shaker. So if we turn it around and shake it, all that glitter and gems goes up and down. I just think that's super fun. I did do this. I glued a piece of sari silk in here just to be sure we didn't spring a leak, because nobody wants that. And then here's the pockets that we got from the side of there. And we've got, look at this really cool paper. This is some more of that wild pattern paper I've got. You're going to be seeing it because I'm determined to use it. I think it's just really cool. And then we just continue through. And then we have the back side of our paper bag is here, which I just glued up and made a little side pocket. Hey, Jimmy Lou, welcome. Hang out as long as you can. And if you're busy, that's okay. We got you. So I just wanted to show you the completed circus themed book. It was super fun, way more fun than I thought, because it's not in my wheelhouse for design at all. But it turned out to be pretty fun. I know. Michelle, you know, at the Junk Journaling Jamboree, especially if you're on toward the beginning of the event, it's the perfect opportunity, because wherever your segment stops, you can continue to journal while you watch everybody else. So that is our circus journal. Hey, Kathy, good morning. It's still morning here. So, all right. I grabbed a few things. I found these. These were at my Dollar General for $1. In their little craft bin department, and they're these sweet little pockets, pre-made little pockets. Do you see that? And they have this little background to it, and they're perfect. It's only 9 in Arizona. Well, it really is coffee time for you. Terry, thank you. So I grabbed those today. I think they might work really good in the mini book, but they came in white and the brown craft paper. This is just some of the pieces from the game that we're going to use, and I just bagged them up. Here's our rule page. Remember, we were holding on to it to see what we're doing. Hey, Katana, how are you? I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. You know, it's been a stressful time here. I'll just tell you the truth. And we are just digging in and doing day by day, right? That's what we're doing. And I got a bunch of trash in there. I grabbed a couple more pieces of the craft weight paper. I don't know if we'll use it or not. Here's the resume paper. Remember, we thought that might be great. Just turned noon there, Katana. Well, it's lunchtime then. You can still have coffee with lunch, though. So we have this to use. I think this will kind of be our base paper. I like to have, you know, some basic paper that we use throughout. Our funny Santa money, which I just think is so fun. And then I just put in a few extras of all the extra paper. So we have this ledger. We have the scorecard paper, which I think looks like ledger. We have the graphing paper and that. Okay. So this is what we're going to work with. That's what we're going to work with. I have more, right? So this was just my extra pile of the graph paper and the resume paper. Here's our next quilt block because it got stacked with the other stuff. But isn't it cool? I love this one. And let me clear us some space here. So we have our basketball. We have this gigantic columnar pad that we're using. And here's our cover. Okay. So this was the beginning signature that we started talking about last time. You remember I have the big coffee table book that has all of the New York Times front pages in it, which is, how cool is that? Any historical thing we can go and grab out of there. So this is the stock market crash. And so we have kind of our special papers are in there, but I have not added very many of the regular resume weight paper. Okay, and here's our book cover all dried up. You can still see, can you catch it? Yeah, that the glue leaves a stain, but that's okay. Everything winds up being covered after this stage. But it did, look how nice and clean and crisp our little ribbon, fabric ribbon did with our covers. So we have our super fun Monopoly inside cover, and here's our little mini book that we just took our scrap game board and we glued it up as well, and it turned out really, I think it's cute. And then I gotta brag, you remember I've done the videos with my sweet friend Karen who shops for me, and she called me and she asked me if I could come by and pick up a few things she had for me, and look what was in there. 2 shorthand training books. And what would be more appropriate for a business book, because I always think about Greg's shorthand, hi Kathy, as what they use right in a business secretary would use. So I thought, we're just going to snatch a couple of pages out of here and act like we own the place, right? So I want to grab some that just have like the text on it. Not so much we'll have a place for the lessons, but look at this. I have no idea what any of it says, and that's okay. But I think it'll be a super fun addition to our Monopoly business themed book for sure. So I'm not even trying to tear them nice. I'm okay with that. I really am. Do we need just one? I don't know. I think maybe we'll hunt one more while we're in here. This one's pretty good. Maybe a little more aggressive with the spine. Let me hold it over here. So how are you guys? I told you that things have been a little stressy at Mama P's house. I didn't even ask about you. In her diary. Now see, to me, that would be the perfect use for shorthand, because it would be like a secret language, right? It's like all of us older ladies who do beautiful cursive writing, and my kids are not taught that in school, so my kids really can't really read cursive, so it is like my secret language already. I can't get this to come out. I was trying to be gentle. Sometimes you just can't. So she had 2 of these for me and a couple of really wonderful old dictionaries, but this is the one I grabbed today. What a blessing she is. And my husband's name is Greg, so it would almost be kind of fun to reuse these covers. You know me, I'm always not only looking at the book in front of me, but the covers, because nothing I like better than ripping up some old book covers to make new book covers. Okay. And then I went ahead and I grabbed a couple more of these bags. And my thought was, with this business theme, if I can get them folded, they would be a fun little addition to the book, because we could use them like a money bag idea. Your husband is Greg too. It's a good name for a husband. And yes, yeah, they have no idea what a check is. So we kind of worked at how to get our bags flattened, but you'll remember these, especially Christmas gift. I love that. These were deli bags I found on a trip, and they have cellophane here for this portion, and then the rest of it's paper. And while I was doing the circus book, I just played and fussed and finagled. You know how you just have to kind of wrestle things sometimes. I found that if I kind of refolded this, I could make a pocket. Okay, so now it looks like this on the inside, and we'll put things in here. And then on the back side, on the paper side, it looks like this. So it leaves us a little pocket here, just a little tuck pocket. It's not full depth, and you can kind of adjust where you want it on the paper by where you fold it. It can be down at the bottom or in the middle. I think this one looks kind of fun on the middle. And then we just press that in, and then whatever decorative paper we decide to slide in here, that's what it will look like. And I was trying to think what I had that would be great decorative paper, and I'm not 100% there yet. So I think what we'll probably do is slide one of the, you need something heavy to hold it stiffer. So I think we will use a piece of just the heavy craft cardstock that I pulled out. Okay. And this is one of the few pieces that exact measurements kind of matter, unfortunately. And I am crammed here on my little table because I don't know if you guys were here with me last time, but I was killing a wasp nest, which, nobody wants to have to kill a wasp nest, but it's not the end of the world if you do. And in clearing the wasp nest, I uncovered a yellow jacket nest, and they're not so friendly at all. As a matter of fact, especially when you disturb their home. I so delicately found out, because I thought they were sweet little honeybees that needed love and protection. Oh no, no, these are devious killers building a nest at my house. And the nest just happens to be right outside the door of my craft hut here. And now I'm really scared of it. Really scared of it. I got a guy coming tonight. He's going to take care of it. So today I had to debate. I had this pile of stuff in the house, and I had everything else I needed equipment-wise out here in the shed. So I'm like, do I run out here to the shed and try to gather what I need and run back in the house to avoid the before mentioned yellow jackets? Or do I grab what was in the house and run out here? And I grabbed what was in the house and ran out here. So if I measure my little bag here, they're terrible. See, I really thought they were just little honeybees, and I was using the blower to clean the porch, and I moved a barbecue grill, and I started seeing what I was just sure were sweet little honeybees, because, you know, they're little. And everything I read said you can just kind of move, hey, Mary, their nesting area, and they will relocate with it. So I'm not allergic to bugs or stings or any of that kind of stuff. So I'm the perfect candidate to do that. Let's see, we need 5, gross, it's between 5 1/4 and 5 1/2, which means it's going to be wrong when I cut it, no matter which way. And anyway, so I began to continue my good work of relocating their nest very gently until one of them stung me. And then I did not feel any more benevolence for them. And I did realize the minute I got stung that it wasn't a honeybee, because it was a totally different experience. And then I had to run. And I don't run. I don't run well. Okay. So this is still pretty, you see, it's not holding its shape really great. And that's okay. It's got a lot of layers to it, and it's been folded in its packaging for a long time. So we're going to slide this piece of cardstock weight paper in there, and that is going to help convince it to stay that. Oh, yeah. We had, you know, we moved from a small town here. It's just a hair too wide, of course, here to the city about a year ago. Now, before in the smaller town we lived in, I knew everybody. And, you know, if I needed somebody to come take care of a bug issue, hey, Sue, finding somebody was no big deal. But here it's not that easy. But I was so fortunate. Somebody referred me to a gentleman, and I messaged him, and he answered me right away. And he's the one that came out and told us that they were definitely yellow jackets, and he told us how we could treat the nest to eradicate the problem. And he said that if that was not effective, then he would come back. Okay, now see, now that we've got this in here and we've slid this brown paper in it, it will help hold it where we want it to be. And then we can just glue our little pocket down. So we did everything he said to do. We sprayed it with the appropriate spray a multitude of times. And he said then the next day, after we had sprayed it a couple of times, we could, as long as we didn't see any activity, we could then move the nesting material and burn it all down, burn all of that stuff, and we'd be okay. So we did not see any activity yesterday until we started to clear the area. And then they came out again. So he's coming back tonight to find it. So long story to tell you that I grabbed my stuff and I hightailed it out here and shut the door tight, and I did not go back across. Okay, I think this will be super fun. Even if all we wind up putting in there is maybe some of the money sheets, wouldn't that be just kind of cute? Way to make a cute little display in our book. So that's all we do to it at this point. I prefer to seal these up by sewing them, but they do glue or staple or any other way you would want to seal them. So I'm going to leave this one this time. And then we just fold it in half like we would any other book page. Terry, it was so scary. And because I am not allergic to bugs, I'm just not. Like, if we're sitting outside and the mosquitoes are buzzing, I feel them bite me mildly, but I never whelp up or have any kind of reaction. So I was not prepared at just how vicious these little buggers are. Okay, so let's see. I'm really kind of a one signature in a book girl. I believe that this book has a wide enough spine to hold 2 signatures. So I think we will plan on 2 smaller signatures for this book, 2 smaller sets of pages, so that we have plenty of room to add in the things that we want to add. Okay. And a smaller signature or set of pages, in my opinion, everybody's is different, is 8 to 10 sheets. Okay. So our book would wind up anywhere from 16 to 20 sheets. Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing how quick you can move when thus motivated. Okay. So I think let's see how many pages are in this first set that we put together. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And I'm going to pull this one out and trade it now that we have this cool shorthand paper. So I'm just going to put this right in the center. Yeah, then yesterday afternoon, my daughter and I were out running some errands, and we pulled in, and they started landing on the car. And that's when I knew that they were definitely back and definitely not happy, because we were about 20 feet or more away from where the nesting spot is. And they were landing on the car as soon as we parked the car. So we just sat there in the car, you know, like that, like I'm afraid to go in. Okay, so this is what I'm going to set as our front signature. Okay, so we have our newspaper cover. You guys saw me put this together. We won't go through it again, but let's take a minute and put together our second signature. Now, your signatures don't have to match. As a matter of fact, most of the time, to be true and honest, they won't. They just won't. Let's use our fun see-through cover. Oh, Michelle, you're never late. You just hang out as long as you can. Come when you can. We're always here on replay. So welcome. I'm so glad you're here. So let's use this fun. I like to do something fun on the outside of my signature because you see it right away. And then also, you get big welts. This one, I don't know if you guys can see it, but yeah, you still can. See how red that is here? That is from the sting that I got, what day was it? Friday. And it's very painful. Thank you so much, Michelle. It's miserable. I don't like it. I wake up at night clawing at it, and then because it itches, and then it hurts because I scratched it. It's like, yeah, you dummy. You should know better. Okay, so here's our funny money. Oh, we need to put one of those in here. Do we have one of these in here? Somebody remind me if we put one of the money sheets in here. We're fortunate that we're going to cover, fold it in half. So the fact that Santa Claus is on the face part of the money, it's not really going to show. It's going to be in the spine of our book. We did not. Let's slide one of these right in here. Right in this side. Are you allergic to bees? I would be very, very frightened a lot if I were allergic. I know I'm not. And so, although this sting was quite painful and I was kind of mad about the whole thing, yes, I've been taking Benadryl, and it has hydrocortisone on it this morning because it was really itching. But guys, I'm a big wuss now because I never whelp. And look at this crazy thing. It's horrible. We know that our resume paper is the right size because you remember we decided we would use 8.5 by 11 by 11. I think that's yeast, 11, right? I'm not sure where Tecumseh, Kansas is. I am just in the suburbs of Kansas City, about 15 miles maybe east in Lee Summit is where I live. So we're just folding up all of these odd papers that we have here. The scoreboard paper, I'm just going to fold it in half. We may want to trim it. I'm going to fold it to where all that little hairy stuff, this hairy stuff, is sticking out. You might like that hairy stuff. I'm not wild about it in the edges of a book because it catches things, okay? And we know that this paper is almost twice as big as we need. So I think we can just kind of cut it in half. And then let me tell you a little secret. If you don't measure real close and one signature comes out real tidy and one signature comes out a hot mess, just mix them up. Take them apart, put them back together, and then make them both half messy. That's my professional advice on the matter. Okay. So if I were tidy and crazy organized, I would have had all of this stuff trimmed to size on this day, 1979. But like I told you, it's been a little crazy here, so I'm not ready. Let's get one more piece of the resume paper, and then I think we'll be pretty good. Let's see what we have. Okay, I always assemble from the outside in, so I want this to be the cover of my signature. And since something is going to show, because of the height, I'm going to put our fun basketball paper in it so that when it opens, you have something to see. And then I'm really boring in this assembly piece. I usually go plain and then something that's not plain. And my something that's not plain may be a full-size page or it may be a partial page like this shorthand paper. And I'm okay with that. Okay, and then we'll come in. Let's use this graph paper because you remember this is that fun composition book. It has lines on one side and graph on the other. So let's put the graph there. And then let's put a piece of the resume paper in there and kind of keep a mental head count of how many pages you're putting together. That is me telling myself that because I didn't in this case. I'm just kind of putting them together and seeing what comes. I really love the ledger because of the business, and then I love the resume, and then we need something. Let's count. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, we're right on target, but we need something kind of interesting for the middle. So we lay this here, and maybe we'll do the other piece of the shorthand because it's sitting right here. And I just think that makes a really cool center. Okay, so now we have both of our signatures assembled. It is the worst I've ever had. Normally, the few times in my life I've been stung by a bee, one time I stepped on one, I totally deserve that. And the other time I was at a church camp and we were performing, I was with a singing group, and one landed on my shoulder and somebody patted me on the shoulder, didn't know it was there, and it stung me. And in both of those cases, it hurt for about 5 minutes and then it was over. So I thought, I grabbed some ice and I froze this, which is usually what I do. And then I thought, well, that'll be it. Silly me. Okay, we need to make, since we're doing 2 signatures, I like to make a template because I'm not that organized. I'm not that detail oriented. So I'm going to take this piece of just scrap paper. It's some of the brown card we had. Anything will work. It doesn't matter for this. And I want to cut a piece of this in the same width as my spine. And I couldn't measure it, but sometimes you want it to be a little bit exact. And so for me, I lay it right in here in the spine. You see that it's in the groove of my spine here. And I'm just going to take a pen and make a mark at the other side of my spine. Okay. And then we also need the correct height because we are going to use this to map where we want to put our signatures in. Hey, Miss Kathy Tatum, how are you, my friend? So here is my height line right here. And I'm going to use my scissors on it because if it's not perfectly perfect, this is okay. And then I'm going to grab my paper cutter for the other way so that I get as straight a line as possible. And I'm just going to line that mark up right in my cutting zone. And then let's see if it fits. That'll be the trick. Okay, so to see if it fits, I want to close it up in my book. And you can see it does not fit. You see that? My book won't close. So it's too wide. It's just a little bit too wide. You forgot to sign in. That's okay, Peggy. We'll put your name down as attendance. So now I'll just take my scissors and trim a little bit off. Okay. And now we test it again before we go any further. Now, let's see. Now it will sit down flat. See that? It's just sitting right in there flat in the spine of my book. Okay. Now, it's not, there's a little hump right here. It looks like a camel. And that bothers me. Stupid things that bother you, right? The silly things that get to you. All right, now we need to make some marks. Good morning. How are you? I am so glad you guys are here. I am sorry if I am not greeting each of you as you come in. I feel very scattered. We're doing fine. We're doing fine. But I do feel a little this morning. So there you go. Okay, so I have this ruler. There's always a ruler somewhere, right? Now we need to do some math. Oh, heavens to Murgatroyd math on a Monday morning. And who in here has ever heard the saying heavens to Murgatroyd? Or is that just my weird family? Okay. So this spine is 1.5 inches. 1.5 inches. Another great, because, you know, and that means we got to deal in 1/4 inches. So you line it up anywhere. I'm using the 4 to the 5.5 inch mark. It doesn't matter. And I know that I need to make a mark. Now I have to do the center first. I just have to. Do you need the center of this marker? No. If you're doing a 2 signature book, you don't. But I can't think any other way. So I'm going to mark at 3/4 of an inch, which should be my middle point, right? Which is right there. Okay. And then you've used heavens to Murgatroyd. My older brother used to say that all the time, and I guess my mom did too. Sometimes you open your mouth and your mom comes out and you're like, how'd that happen? That was one of those things. I'm like, wow, I can't remember the last time I said heavens to Murgatroyd. Okay, so now we have a line right down the center of our guideline. Then we need to see how long it is, and it is 9.5 inches. So we need 4 3/4 inches, which should be the center this way. Okay, so we need to know the center, the absolute center of our template. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. Okay, and I'm going to draw a line here because we know that we want tractor pull. I haven't seen a tractor pull in a long time. We do know that we want our signature sewn in the center from top to bottom. Okay, so now I have these measurements. Now, if you, like me, don't trust yourself to be any good at math, take a minute and double check, and we're pretty close. I'm good enough with that. Okay, now we are working on putting the pages together in our Monopoly themed journal books today. That's what we're doing. We're going to get pages. I don't know if we'll get them in. My plan is to get them in this one. We got about 20 minutes left. That's plenty of time if I hush up and get going. Now, I like to put my top and bottom holes 1 inch in. Now, a lot of people do them closer to the edge, like 1/2 inch. I find 1 inch is better for me. I'm more apt to catch my shorter papers more than once. So on my center line, again, I'm marking 1 inch from the top, top and bottom, and I'm just going to go, I'm just going to go across, just like this. Okay, now I have my lines for where I need my holes to go in my cover. All right, you can measure if you're so inclined, or at this point, since we're doing 2 signatures, we want to go about halfway on each of these lines. And I just make a nice big bold dot right on those lines. You see that? Okay. On both sides. If you were doing a 3 signature book, you were going to put 3 sets of pages in, you would also mark where your lines run into each other, where they cross, and that would be your center mark. Okay. And then we are ready to do this. Now, if you are more prepared than me, you would have your clips handy, and mine are a far stretch over here, and I don't think I can reach them. So I'm going to go for it without them. And because we used a game board for our cover, it is pretty heavy duty. So if you're going to use game board to create your spine, you're going to have a heavy duty hole puncher. Anything with your hand, unless you're way tougher than me, which you may very well be, it's going to be almost impossible to get through that. So I have my super duper chomper, and I have it set. It has 2 hole sizes, a big and a small, and I have it set on the smaller size. I'm lining my little template up right in the middle of my spine, and I'm going to the middle first, and I'm going to put it right on that dot, and right through I go. Okay, and then I'm just going to scoot over to the other dot, trying really hard to hold my template straight. Okay, and then let me move this other cover. Then we're going to do the same thing. Recheck for lineups. This is okay if you get a little bit off top and bottom wise, because we haven't punched holes in our pages yet. This is just to get the holes in our cover. And so lining the pages up gives you a little bit of flexibility. Okay, and then I'm going all the way around. You take the extra 2 minutes or 30 seconds it would take, and you put some clips to hold your template down, okay? And give it a really good chomp. And try not to make too funny of a face, right? Because you never know when it might come back to haunt you. Okay, so now we have 6 holes in our template, and we have 6 holes in our book cover. You can kind of see them. Okay, now we want to use these same spots because we know they are correct to punch the holes in our pages, right? So to do that, we need these intersection points, right? Because we want our holes to be appropriately spaced. Okay, so we do that, and then I take my template here and I fold it in half lengthwise. Okay, so just line it up straight and try to fold along that center line as best you can. And if you use regular paper, it's a little bit easier than the cardstock, but you know, we use what we have. Correct? Correct. Okay, now I have this marked template, okay? And then fold it the other way so that your dots are on the inside. Thank you, Karen. I hope I make it clear and easy. I don't want anybody overwhelmed with the idea of assembling books. Number one, it's just paper, right? It's just paper. That's why I don't work in fine china. I can't really be trusted with it. I'll just say, okay. And then what you do is you take this template that we just made for our pages, and you see where the holes line up on your paper, right? And you just tuck it in there. You tuck it in there, and that's what you're going to use to poke the holes for your book. All right? Clear as mud? I think so. I think it's okay. So we need some of our twine. If you have never bound books before, this is not bookbinding twine. You can use anything. If you crochet, grab some yarn, it'll be all right. It'll hold together as long as you need it to hold together with yarn. If you have embroidery floss, use all 6 strands of embroidery floss. So be sorry you were late. We're so glad you're here. I hope everything was good at the doctor. You just use what you have. This is just some, I think it was in the leatherwork department. I got it at a yard sale, but I've seen it at Hobby Lobby. They sell that cute little rolled up twine, even at the Dollar Tree. It's usually got 2 colors in it. So it's red and white or blue and white. Okay, so get your things together. Now, let me just be honest. You need your clips for sure because our pages don't line up exactly. Okay, I am going to use this, and you can use the needle that you sew with. You can use an awl, which is a thin ice pick. I have this old antique ice pick that I just think is so much fun. Okay, and you can go ahead, fold your pages in half, and just poke a starting hole in there. Just come all the way through your template and your book. Don't go too crazy. The tip of my thing, hi Carolyn, is just barely through. Okay, and if you had all your pages clipped together, you wouldn't have to be too particular, nor would you be too worried about it coming through. But you just want to get a little start, because do not do what Mama P did the first 20 times I put a book together. Don't sew your template into your signature, right? Now that we have some holes poked, this has to go because we want to use it on the next one. All right. And we decided that this was our back template of our book. right? So here we go. I'm going to take my thread. I'm going to put it through the center hole that I made. See it sticking out through my pages there? Thank you so much. You guys are so good to me. And right out through the back cover of my book. Okay. And then just pull it. Leave yourself a nice long tail. If you had your clips handy, you could clip this. Super, super good tip. Yeah. All right. And then I'm going to close my signature over, and I've got this hole in the cover of my book, right? And I'm just going to bring my thread up through and then right through the hole I poked in my pages. It gets harder to see, but that's okay. You can do it. See, I poked that hole in the pages, and now it comes straight through. I don't want you to feel like you can't manhandle your book. It can take it. So I don't try to hold my pages in place when I'm sewing them in. Like I go through my pages and then I go through my cover, or vice versa, whatever works. Okay. Now I'm through the top, and you can do bottom or top. That doesn't matter either. Okay. And then I'm going back out now through this bottom hole that I made, right? And then right back through the cover of my book, through that hole we already punched. If you have an eyelet setter, it makes it look really pretty on the cover of your book. I have one, it's the same machine. It's not something I normally do. Okay, now I'm gonna look because I wanna make sure that I'm pulling the right string through to get my tail through and not pulling my stitching back out from my book. Okay, so now that went very smoothly, so let's not hold our breath. Now we got to go back through the center hole, right? So I still have my hole there in my book cover. I'm not going to try to go through my pages. I'm just going to bring it back up through the cover. Okay. All right. And then I'm just going to kind of grab a hold of my pages. And now I have to try to get as close as I can back through the same hole we started with. Now, I am a truth teller. I will tell on myself every time. If I can't get it just to go where I want it to go exactly through the same holes, close will count. It's not quite hand grenades, but it is kind of horseshoes, if you know what I mean. Close will work as long as it's consistently close. All right, so here we come. Now we are back up through. Take my needle off. You want to make sure your strings are on one on each side of that center, like a cross. And now you pull everything tight. Now we want to make sure everything is snug. So we check. We're snug in here. My pages are against. Along the back cover, it's laying flat and smooth. So now we're ready to tie that in. I tie mine in a knot. I say it every time. I never know what I want to do with them. Sometimes I just cut them off real short. Sometimes I want to tie them in a bow. That is something I can definitely decide later. Okay, now we have our back signature completely attached to our book cover. Okay, all good. Now I need to do the same thing with the pages that will be our other signatures. So we get them nice and snug. Snug as a bug in a rug. That's right. Tuck these in. That they all be together at the point is really all that matters. That's really it. And then line them all up, center your thing, and do the same thing again. Poke through, get a little hole. I'm not going crazy. I just want a little hole. That's the difference between an awl and an ice pick. Let me tell you that. This ice pick has a thick shaft. Ugh. And my chubby wrists are really making my watch try to search for things we don't care anything about. So an ice pick is much thicker here in the shaft than an awl. So if you get a little overzealous with your awl and you go all the way through, all the way through, you're going to have a smaller hole. If I go all the way through with that, I got a big old hole. That's it. Get my long piece of string. You need 3 times the height of your signature, okay? 3 times. I always go more above and beyond that. It's kind of like cooking. I could cook for the 4 people around my table, or I could cook for 20 in the same amount of time. So I always tend to go toward the 20. Okay, take your little thing out. line up any pages that went away, go right through the hole you just pointed through in the center. Hi, Sherry. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Let me just remind you again that today is Crafty Bunch, Crafter's Choice, and Judy at Wyatt's Whatnots is coming up next after me. Okay, now, here's another thing that you got to check right now. Is this thing upside right or upside down? And right now it's upside down. So before I go any further, now is the time. Trust me, now is the time to make sure it's going right side up. Okay, so we already had our second set of holes in our cover. And we just come in, leave plenty of string here on the inside. So hopefully we don't pull it all the way through. It's just sewing thread. If you pull it all the way through, you just do it again. It's okay. It's all right. And then we find our little guide hole that we poked. Don't poke your finger. And we come through. Okay. And then out the bottom. So right back through the holes I made in my paper. I close my signature and get my needle through here. I'm a seer. I'm 100% visual. I don't know if you guys are or not. I gotta see what I'm doing. I feel so much better about things if I see it. I understand it more. And all of that works better. So much better for me. Okay, now I'm going right back through that center hole in my book cover. Here it comes. And now I want to go back through my center set of holes that I poked right here in my signature. Find the middle and see how we did. Well, it's this having the thinner page right in the center. You got to kind of just move it around. It's paper. We can be the boss of the paper. We can make it go where we want to go. Okay, now I'm all sewed in. Take my little big old needle out. Make sure that my strings are one on each side. Hey guys, thank you guys for talking to one another, really. When I say at Mama P's we like to build a community, I'm not kidding about that. Okay, so I pull it really snug. I look at the back, see how it's flat and straight. I close my signature. I make sure it is flat and straight and tight. Thank you, Tarina. I so appreciate that. And now you tie it in a knot. And now we've got all of our pages in here. Look at that. Look at us. Okay. Again, I'm just leaving the knots because that's where we are at this point. We can always trim them off. So now here's our, I'm sorry, it's backwards, but here's our cover. And then we open it right up to that New York Times front page. Kathy, it's not hard. It does take a little bit of practice. I have a much easier time getting them in now than I used to, but I used to always get them in eventually, and you will too. All right. So now we have 2 sets of pages, 2 signatures attached in the cover of our book, and we are ready to go forward with our decorating. And that's what we're going to work on next Monday. I'm going to go ahead and try to get some pages in the little book in our last couple of minutes, or at least talk about it a little bit of what we can do with it, because you have some flexibility in those mini books. All right, so we did it. We got 2 signatures sewn in to our book cover. If you're working along and you want to be ready for next Monday's Monopoly Monday, that's where you need to be. Now, this little mini book that we did, we would need to figure out how big of a page do we actually need to fit in our mini book. There you go. And what do we want to do with it? For these mini books, this mini book, I want to do pocket pages like I do in a lot of my journals, because the little real estate cards and pieces that are with the game, this stuff would be super fun sticking out of the pockets, right? So I'm just taking a piece of any of your paper that you have. Okay, and I'm going to see about how tall I would want my pages. I mean, these are going to be pretty little pages. And I just mark it with a fold, okay? And then I lay it here with the fold, and it's still a little bit too tall, so I make that adjustment, okay? Let me remind you guys, if you're on the Crafty Bunch, and you should join the Crafty Bunch, it's a free group, lots of crafting events, 3 days a week, Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday every week. Okay, so that's pretty good, because I like some room at the top and bottom for things that might stick out. So I'm just going to take my little guide piece of paper here. if you're on the Crafty Bunch, just refresh your feed, and Miss Judy will be there as soon as I get her shared over, because I'm playing the admin thing today. So now I folded it in half as if it were a page in my book, and I'm just looking, if I lay it here to the back, where is it? And it's just a hair wide. So I'm just going to trim it with my scissors. Okay, so now in my little book, I know I just need pieces of paper this big to make my pages fit in my book the way I like them. Okay, so if you're doing the mini book too, make sure that you do that as well and gather you up some pages. Before we get together next Monday, I'll have the little pages in here and we'll go forward with that. If you don't know how to make the pocket pages, don't sweat that. That is something that we can do together, okay? And I am just checking to see if Miss Judy is up yet, and I will get her shared over. Know that I am so thankful for you guys. So thankful that you would spend some Monday with me is a blessing beyond compare. I am on about every day this week. Tomorrow we're going to do something in the kitchen unless I really get a hankering to do something different in the crafty world. Friday we're going to make chicken and dumplings, my grandma's specialty meal, because that's what my daughter-in-law wants for her birthday dinner. So Friday we'll be doing that. There is the 50s craft hop this week, so 1950s theme. I'm going to use a 45 size record sleeve, and we're going to make something fun with that. It's going to be a great week of fun crafting. And then it's the fall festival with Creating with Chris Hunter on Saturday. And anyway, one way or another, we're about going to be together all week long, one day or another. Okay, you guys hang out. Go watch for Miss Judy. I'm watching for her to hop online, and I'll share her in. And I will see you very, very soon. I know. Somebody pray over those little yellow jackets to take a quick nap while I run in the house. Bye, guys. Thank you. Thank you.